State's next witness is Dr. Scott Collier.
Dr. Collier, come forward. Watch your step. Stand right here, face you, and raise your right hand.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please have a seat. Just a moment. I just need to take a break. And ask that you all join me. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you please state and spell your name for the jury?
Scott Collier, Scottcollier.
And what is your occupation?
I am a forensic pathologist.
Where are you currently employed?
I am currently employed both at the office here in Memphis as well as the Regional Forensic Center in Nashville, Tennessee.
And can you describe what your job duties are?
My job duties mainly are to perform autopsies and to determine cause and manner of death.
And what is your educational background?
My educational background, I did my pre-medicine work at the University of New Orleans. I did my medical education at Ross University School of Medicine. I then did a pathology residency here in Memphis at University of Tennessee, followed by a forensic pathology fellowship also at the University of Tennessee.
And are you board certified?
Currently double boarded in anatomic pathology and forensic pathology.
About how many autopsies have you performed?
Approximately 1,700 to 1,800 autopsies.
And how many years have you been a forensic pathologist?
A little over 4 years.
Have you testified as an expert before?
I have.
And about how many times?
I'd say probably 6 or 7.
And were those times in Tennessee courts?
Yes, all of them.
Your Honor, at this time, I would tender Dr. Collier as an expert in forensic pathology.
Hearing no objection.
No objection. Now, Dr. Collier, I'm going to take you back to February 4th of 2022. Did you perform an autopsy on Danielle Hoyle?
I did.
How old was Danielle at that time?
Your Honor, may I access my case file?
I believe so, Your Honor.
Yes.
Your Honor, if he needs to refresh his recollection, I'm not opposed to it.
Hearing no objection, go right ahead.
Thank you. She was 27 years old at that time.
And did you know multiple gunshots to Danielle Hoyle?
Yes.
How many did you note?
I believe it was 5 in total.
And did you end up labeling each of those wounds?
Yes, I did.
And how did you label those?
By letters.
And during the course of an autopsy, are you photographing
Yes.
what you find? Do you also do diagrams?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you a stack of what, with a diagram and 3 photos.
Thank you.
Could you take a look at those? And do you recognize those photographs in that diagram?
I do.
And does all of that correspond to what you labeled wound A?
Correct.
Your Honor, I'd ask that those items be numbered sequentially. They would be exhibits 37 through 40.
Member, may we approach briefly?
Sure. Pardon me, ladies and gentlemen. Pleasantness that may occur. And I promise you that I would do everything I could to let you know. Right? I'm a woman of my word, so I would just like you to know that this is the medical examiner. He does autopsies.
Now, Dr. Collier, permission to publish your honor.
Go ahead, please.
Now, Dr. Collier, what are we seeing here?
This is the entrance wound and exit wound of gunshot wound labeled A.
And can you describe those locations?
The entrance wound is on the right aspect of the head, just behind and below the right ear. The exit wound is behind the left ear.
Now, when you're going through the process of photographing, do you start out by taking photos as the body looks when you get it?
Correct.
At some point in time, is the body, for lack of a better word, cleaned up a bit for you to take additional photos?
Very much so.
And you looked at those 3 photographs along with the diagram. Are those photographs of wound A?
Correct.
What are we seeing in this photograph?
So this is the entrance wound of gunshot wound A, just to the left of the ruler there.
And what about this photograph?
The exit wound of gunshot wound A.
Right. And then what are we seeing here?
It's a little difficult to see, but basically the scalp has been removed, the top of the skull has been removed, and the brain taken out. And what we're seeing here is fractures of the base of the skull.
And did you determine a trajectory with regards to wound A?
I did. Trajectory was right to left and upwards.
And what about, could you determine anything about the range?
Unfortunately, no. There were no features associated with the gunshot wound that would determine range.
What kind of features would you look for to determine range?
If it were a very close or contact wound, there would be soot deposition along the wound and the wound path. If it were a short distance away, we would see gunpowder stippling, basically just abrasions or scuffs in the skin that would indicate that the gun was relatively close.
And you didn't see that in this particular case?
I did not.
Did you term it as an indeterminate trajectory?
Correct.
Or range, I'm sorry, indeterminate range?
Range, yes.
All right. Dr. Collier, when you're examining the body, how can you tell the difference between the entrance wound and the exit wound?
Entrance wounds typically are more smooth and a nice round surface or edges. Exit wounds tend to be lacerated and more irregular in shape.
I'm going to hand you another stack. See if you recognize these.
I do.
And on the top is that your diagram of wound B.
It is.
And then the photographs behind that, do those document wound B?
They do.
Your Honor, I would ask that those be the next exhibits, numbered sequentially, starting with 41 through 45. Dr. Collier, this is Exhibit 41. What are we seeing here?
These are the entrance and exit wounds of gunshot wound B.
And can you describe the location?
The location of the entrance wound is inferior to the right ear, and the exit wound is inferior and slightly anterior to the left ear.
And I'm showing Exhibit 42. What are we seeing here?
Just left of the ruler, the white ruler there, is gunshot wound B entrance.
And while we're looking at this picture, you were saying earlier, Dr. Collier, about the smoothness as far as an entrance wound. Are we seeing that reflected in this photograph?
Yes, we are.
And then Exhibit 43.
And just to the right of the white ruler is the exit wound for gunshot wound B with the irregular features, the irregular edges and lacerations.
Now, what was the trajectory on wound B?
On wound B, the trajectory was right to left and upwards.
And would wound B have been fatal on its own, in your opinion?
Yes.
Why?
Wound B basically transected bilateral carotid arteries. The carotid arteries are the vessels that supply blood to the brain, and this wound actually severed both of those.
I'll show you what has been entered as 44. What are we seeing right here?
What we're seeing here is there's a metal rod that runs left to right through the neck area, and what we're seeing is another metal rod going upwards that is basically inside the right carotid artery, and it shows how it was transected up towards the top where the rod is exposed from the artery.
And photograph, let's see, Exhibit 45.
This is the left carotid artery. Same scenario. The rod going across is basically the bullet path, and then the rod inside the right carotid artery shows the defect within the right carotid artery. Sorry, left carotid artery.
Dr. Collier, I'm going to hand you another stack. And do you recognize that diagram and photographs?
I do.
Do those correspond to wound C?
Yes, they do.
All right, ask that those be the next exhibits, exhibits 46 through 48.
No objection.
Permission to publish it on here?
Give me 1 minute. After we get our
Yes, those.
link on. Thank you.
Dr. Collier, what are we seeing here?
The entrance and exit wounds for gunshot wound C.
And can you describe where those are located?
The entrance wound is on the right aspect of the upper part of the neck, and the exit wound is basically on the left side near the jawline.
And for the record, this is exhibit 46. Moving to exhibit 47. What are we seeing here?
That is the entrance wound for gunshot wound C.
And looking at exhibit 48, what are we seeing?
That is the exit wound of gunshot wound C.
Now, as far as gunshot wound C, what was the trajectory on that one?
Also right to left and upwards.
And would that wound have been, in your opinion, fatal on its own?
I don't think so. This wound basically strikes just the muscle and soft tissue of the neck area. This would, on its own, would be survivable.
And do another stack. And do you recognize that diagram in those photographs?
I do.
Do those correspond to wound D?
Correct.
Your Honor, I would ask that those be the next exhibits, labeled sequentially 49 through 51. Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Go ahead, please.
And for the record, we are looking at Exhibit 49. Dr. Collier, what are we seeing here?
Here we see the entrance wound for gunshot wound D, and at the bottom, the exit wound for gunshot wound D.
And can you describe those locations?
Sure. The entrance wound is on the lower right aspect of the face. The exit wound is on the superior aspect of the shoulder.
And now we're looking at Exhibit 50. What are we seeing here?
That is the entrance wound for gunshot wound D.
And Exhibit 51.
The exit wound for gunshot wound D.
Now, Dr. Collier, what was the trajectory on wound D?
Gunshot wound D, it was right to left and downwards.
Now, this particular wound, in your opinion, would that wound have been fatal on its own?
On its own, yes, I believe it could be.
And why do you say that?
This one basically severed part of the spinal cord, the cervical spinal cord, which would basically cause death due to a lack of being able to breathe.
Do you another stack? Dr. Collier, do you recognize that diagram and the two photographs?
Yes, I do.
And do those document wound E?
Yes, they do.
Your Honor, I would ask that those be the next exhibits labeled sequentially, starting with the diagram at Exhibit 52 through 54.
No objection.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
Go ahead, please.
And for the record, this is Exhibit 52. And what are we seeing here, Dr. Collier?
These are the entrance and exit wounds for gunshot wound E.
And can you describe their location?
The entrance wound is on the right side of the face, just next to the corner of the mouth. The exit wound is on the opposite side, the left side of the face, near the corner of the mouth.
And what are we seeing in this photograph? For the record, it is Exhibit 50.
This is an entrance wound for gunshot wound E.
And Exhibit 51.
The exit wound for gunshot wound E.
Now, Dr. Collier, on wound E, in your opinion, would that have been fatal on its own?
Would say no to fatality on that one alone.
And why is that?
This bullet basically injured just the face and dentition and didn't hit any major arteries or any structures that would cause death.
Now, Dr. Collier, were you able to recover any bullets? in
I
your
was not.
autopsy? Did you recover any bullet fragments?
I don't believe so, but let me check. No. Oh, I'm sorry. There's an additional note that multiple small bullet and jacket fragments were recovered from the tongue, gingiva, and oral mucosa.
And what does that mean to us lay people?
Basically, the bullet is made up of a core and has a jacket wrapped around it, and when it strikes a target, it tends to fragment. Some of these fragments, little tiny pieces, were recovered from inside the mouth.
I'm going to hand you a photograph and an item. First, if you'll take a look at that photograph, do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that a photograph of?
These are the fragments that were recovered from the mouth area.
All right, ask that that be Exhibit 55. Permission to publish. Okay, Dr. Collier, what are we seeing here?
So these are the fragments that I described. The more copper-looking colored fragments are part of the jacket that surrounds the bullet core, and the more metallic, grayish-looking fragments are the core, the bullet core itself.
And did you actually collect those fragments?
Yes, I did.
If you would take a look inside that envelope, are the fragments that you collected from Danielle Hoyle in that envelope?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, I'd ask that that be the next exhibit, Exhibit 56. And Judge, to be clear, it's just the one envelope that Dr. Collier had in his hand. There are several items.
I can show you which one it is. It should be the one here. Yeah, that one right there.
And Dr. Collier, as part of the autopsy process, do you take samples, for example, of hair and other things from the body?
Yes, we do.
And are those some of those items that were also in that envelope?
Yes, they are.
I'm going to hand you 3 more photographs. Do you recognize those photographs?
I do.
And we'll start with that first photograph. What is that a photograph of?
Basically just a superficial abrasion or a scrape along the side of the right hip.
And the next photograph?
This is the photograph of the right hand.
And the next photograph?
Photograph of the left hand.
All right, would ask that those be entered as exhibits 57, 58, and 59. Please approach.
we are going, the first one that I'm gonna hand you is gonna be marked at a later date when we get a replacement.
Yes, Judge, can we go ahead and put a placeholder in that as
Yes.
exhibit?
Yes.
Yes, exhibit 57.
Placeholder 57, we pick up on 58, 59.
Now, Dr. Collier, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
And what are we seeing there?
This is the abrasion on the right hip.
And what would cause an abrasion like that?
Just any kind of friction.
Speculation.
Your response?
He's an expert, he can give his opinion as to what could cause an abrasion like that.
Overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything rubbing on it or the hip rubbing on another surface would cause that.
Dr. Collier, in your expert opinion, would that be consistent with a body being dragged?
It certainly could be, yes.
Now I'm going to show you exhibit 58. What are we seeing here?
This is the decedent's right hand.
And why do you photograph the hands?
Just for, we look for any kind of evidence, any trace evidence, hairs, debris, anything that could be used or collected for evidence.
Do you also look to see if the hands have any defensive wounds?
Yes.
And did you, let me show you what is exhibit 59. What is that a photograph of?
That is the left hand.
And in your opinion, did you note anything that would indicate defensive wounds on Danielle Hoyle's hands?
I don't recall seeing any defense wounds.
Now, did anything in your examination indicate that Danielle Hoyle had recently given birth?
She did have an enlarged uterus, consistent with postpartum period.
Now, Dr. Collier, as part of the autopsy, when the body comes to you, do you collect the clothing?
Yes, we do.
I'm going to hand you. Four more photographs. Do you recognize those photographs?
I do.
And are those photographs of Danielle Hoyle's clothing that she was wearing when she came to the medical examiner's office?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, I'd ask that those be numbered sequentially, starting with exhibit 60 through 62. we seeing in this photograph, Dr. Collier, which will be Exhibit 60?
These are the clothing items that were removed from the body after we received her.
And 61?
This appears to be a hooded jacket.
And was Danielle wearing that jacket when she came to Timmy's office?
She was.
And did you note anything about the jacket?
Yes, what you're seeing here with the two little white cards with the arrows on them are defects within the jacket.
And what are we seeing in this photograph? That would be Exhibit 62?
This is a defect in the hood of the jacket.
And why did you note those defects?
Because these defects could be consistent with the gunshot wounds on the body.
And Exhibit actually, that would be Exhibit 63. What are we seeing here?
These are the shoes that came on the body.
And did you actually collect those items?
Yes.
Okay, and you? Dr. Collier, that first item, you'll take a look. You recognize that item?
Yes, I do.
And what is that item?
This is the black jacket.
And that was collected from Danielle Hoyle's body?
Yes.
Your Honor, I would ask that that be the next exhibit, Exhibit 64.
Three is the next numbered exhibit. So we missed one?
There's four photos in that last set.
Thank you. 64 it is.
Your Honor, may Dr. Collier publish that to the jury by stepping down?
Dr. Collier, do you mind stepping down?
Do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Look at those two bags, see if you recognize those items.
I did.
And what is that item?
This appears to be the right shoe.
And would you take a look in that other bag?
This is the left shoe.
And we ask that those be a collective exhibit, Exhibit 65. Collier, if you would just show those to the jury, please. During the autopsy process, do you also collect a blood spot?
Yes, we do.
Can you describe for the jury what that is?
It's basically just a card that folds in half and has 4 circles where we take samples of blood and squirt it on the blood spot card. So it's just a card that holds blood samples.
I'm going to hand you an envelope. You may need some scissors.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Would you take a look inside the envelope, please? Do you recognize that item?
I do.
And what is that?
This is the blood spot card for the decedent.
And is that Danielle Hoyle?
It is.
All right, ask that that be the next exhibit, Exhibit 66.
It should be okay.
And Dr. Collier, what's the purpose of collecting the blood spot?
In case we need to use it for DNA purposes.
Now, Dr. Collier, with regards to all these items that you collected, is there a unique number that the medical examiner's office uses for each autopsy?
Yes.
And what was the number in this particular case?
This case was number 2022-0277.
Now, Dr. Collier, based on your findings, the autopsy of Danielle Hoyle, what was the cause of death?
Cause of death was listed as gunshot wounds of the head and neck.
And what was the manner of death?
Homicide.
I'll pass the witness.
Dr. Collier, when you say homicide, that's a medical term, right?
That is correct.
Can you explain to the jury what medically homicide means?
Death at the hands of another.
Okay. So if I shot you, but I was acting in self-defense, that would be a homicide.
Correct.
If I shot you and it was completely accidental, that would be a homicide.
Most likely, yes.
If I shot you and I meant to do it, that would be a homicide.
Correct.
So homicide does not necessarily indicate a criminal intent,
It does not.
right? It is just a medical terminology for the manner of death.
Correct.
Now, I want to talk to you about trajectories, okay?
Okay.
How do you determine the trajectory of a gunshot wound?
Trajectory is based on a person in the anatomical position, which is basically standing in
And
this.
you can stand if you need to do that. If
It's
that's
basically
okay.
standing like this,
Permission
hands open.
granted.
Thank you.
Sorry.
All right.
So this is anatomic position.
Okay. And so when you look at a person in anatomic position, you then establish an entrance wound and an exit wound.
Correct.
Now, that is not necessarily the position the person was in at the time of the gunshot, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So the trajectory of the bullet through the body depends on the angle of the body at the time of the shot.
And the shooter.
Yes, you beat me to it. We're getting there next. So the angle of the person's body, right?
Correct.
And the angle of the other person,
Yes,
and where the gun is.
correct.
Now I want to talk to you about how you determine distance ranges, okay?
Yes,
Now you classified this as an indeterminate range.
correct.
Can you please explain to the jury what the different ranges that you look for are?
Contact, basically the weapon is in contact with the target. Intermediate, which is basically within a few inches to a couple of feet from the end of the barrel to the target. And then indeterminate or distant is, it cannot be determined.
Okay. So that contact would actually be the muzzle of the weapon against the skin.
Correct.
And that would leave what's called a muzzle imprint.
It could,
Okay. And that would leave soot deposition.
most likely.
Now when I say a muzzle imprint, that is actually the end part of the gun burns the skin, right, on a contact wound?
It's an abrasion, yes.
And then soot deposition, that's when that gunfire shoots out of the gun, it actually, on a contact wound, shoots into the wound, right?
Correct.
Now a close contact gunshot wound, is that up to 18 inches?
What we would consider an intermediate, there's a general range for that, but an actual accurate range can only be determined by test firing the weapon.
Okay, so that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I thought the indeterminate range went all the way up to 4 feet.
It's again, gun dependent.
Okay, so is it your understanding from what you do and all of these autopsies that indeterminate range can be up to 4 feet depending on the weapon?
4 feet could be. We generally say that anything outside of a couple of feet or so is you're getting away from intermediate and more into indeterminate.
Okay, so now I want to talk to you about that couple of feet, okay? How do you determine whether a gun was in a couple of feet from the barrel to the person who was shot?
There would be stippling, gunpowder stippling on the target.
Okay. What is gunpowder stippling?
Basically, burning gunpowder particles will cause little tiny punctate abrasions around the wound.
And that's kind of what we were talking about with that spray of gunpowder, right? It actually sprays onto the skin
Correct.
and it's hot, right?
It's burning, yeah.
Yeah, so it burns a little pattern onto the skin.
Correct.
And that occurs when that gun is within a few feet.
Depending on the gun, yes.
Okay. And that was not present here, right?
Correct.
Okay. So the indeterminate range is basically saying you don't know how far away the gun was.
100%.
Okay. And here it was indeterminate range because there was no muzzle imprint, right?
Correct.
There was no soot deposition.
Correct.
There was no stippling.
Correct.
Now, I want to talk to you about the gunshot wounds themselves, okay, and the way that you document them.
Sure.
When you assign labels, the A, B, C, D, E, that is not in any way indicating an order in which the gunshots were shot, right?
That's correct.
That only indicates a kind of a marker for you to say, this is one, this is another, this is another.
100%, yes. Correct.
It's not a chronological assignment.
Right.
Because as a medical examiner, you typically cannot determine the order of injuries.
That's correct.
So that's just purely for recording purposes.
Yes, ma'am.
And for your purposes, you can determine the wounds inflicted, right?
Yes.
But you cannot necessarily determine the circumstances under which they were inflicted.
Correct.
So I want to talk to you briefly about each of the gunshots in turn, okay?
Sure.
So we'll start with gunshot wound A. That was to the neck, right?
Correct.
And if I may, Your Honor, just have a moment to connect to publish that diagram. tech stuff is not my forte, so you'll have to forgive me. It won't let me go. Okay, we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way because technology isn't liking me. I'm okay with
Are we done with the TV before we break?
Yes, ma'am.
that. Okay. May I approach the witness? If you could please show the witness, show the jury where you indicated the entrance wound. And approximately on your body, where would that be?
Basically right here, I would imagine,
Okay. And the exit wound?
is here.
Okay. And do you actually have those diagrams in your report?
I do.
Okay. Can you do the same for me for B?
Entrance wound below the right ear, exit wound somewhere in this region.
And on both of those, you noted an upward trajectory.
That's correct.
Okay. And on exhibit C, gunshot wound C?
You're asking for the trajectory,
Yes.
right to left and upwards?
Okay. And none of them, do you typically note a front to back?
If it's, yes, if it is front to back, then I will notice that. Left to right, right to left, upwards, downwards, front to back, back to front, certainly.
And on all of these, you noted right to left,
Correct.
and in all but one, you noted upward.
I believe that's correct.
And gunshot wound D was downward.
Correct.
And on all of these, there was no muzzle imprint,
Correct.
there was no soot deposition,
Correct.
there was no stippling,
Correct.
and there was no bullet recovered.
Just the fragments.
No actual full bullet, right?
No intact bullet, yes.
Your Honor, that's all I have.
Any redirect from the stage?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Dr. Collier, I want to go back to indeterminate.
Yes,
I believe defense counsel was saying 4 feet. It could be 3 feet, right?
it could be 3 feet, it could be 2 feet. It all depends on the weapon itself and the ammunition used.
And we were talking about a trajectory. Could something like if the victim moved her head, could that affect the trajectory?
Certainly.
Are there a lot of different variables that can affect the trajectory?
Yes.
So for example, where the shooter was standing,
Correct.
how the shooter was holding the gun.
Sure.
So all of that could play into that upwards or downwards determination.
Yes.
That's all I have.
Very briefly. In this case, you determined it to be an indeterminate range, right?
Correct.
So you did not have any of the markers that you typically see for close range shots.
Correct.
That's all I have.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you, Your Honor.